Members and the guest speaker, Mr. Nagesh Ramamurthy here. To just give you a brief introduction about Mr. Nagesh, he has close to around 3.5 decades of project management experience, and he's a passionate speaker, teacher, and a coach already. His assets helped close to around 300 plus entrepreneurs to grow in their businesses. So I will hand over the platform to him to guide us accordingly. So over to you, sir. Sir, on mute. Sir, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Kishan, for that introduction. New to this forum, yet I have heard about it a lot from Kishan when we have interacted on so many other occasions. Happy to be here this morning and take you through something that I have experienced. I thought sharing experiences and gathering experiences from others will definitely make us or enrich us a little more. So I have been in this journey of gathering and sharing experiences for almost about 1.5 decades. When I realized that talking to people and gathering more from them gives you more better ideas when you reminiscence what you have talked to that person during the day, especially when you sit alone and think about it. So I thought uh, sharing experiences is the best way for a for exchange of ideas and gathering more. I have been doing this leadership sessions for many forums and was excited when Kishan said, "Sir, can you take about 30 minutes of our time and share your experience?" I said, uh, I jumped to it, I would say. So here I am talking to you on a topic which I have called it as the multiplier. Of course, I don't know the reason why Kishan did not announce this topic earlier. He said, "Sir, you introduce it." I said, "Okay, let me unveil it today and tell you about what I think is the multiplier." Going forward, I'll skip about myself, and since I have only 30 minutes, let me straight away jump into the session. Can anybody tell me what is this place? Has anybody been there? Has anybody
Raj
seen this
Vivanta.
picture?
Raj Vivanta.
UB City.
UBCT.
Okay, okay. It was in 2007 that I was invited to one of the conferences as a guest, though I was not speaking over there. It was an international conference, and the conference was being hosted by somebody where I was a member. So, as a member, I was invited as a guest, and this is Taj Lands End at Mumbai. I jumped into it and I said, "Oh, I should attend this." And it so happened that I had never seen this hotel and I had heard a lot about this hotel. I was already almost 2 decades into my professional experience, and I've gone to Mumbai a couple of times. However, I never got a chance to get into this. I said, "Taj Lands End, a conference from my community. Why is it that I shouldn't go?" And of course, it was. They said, since it's a paid event and we are inviting you as guest, you will have to come all by yourself. And I said, "That's okay. I will see Mumbai once again. I will get to see this hotel, be there, stay, spend a day." So I went there, and we had a wonderful session. We had international speaker who had come down from many of them from Europe, because this conference was being organized by a European consortium of consultants on construction contracts. So a lot of people were from Sweden, France, Switzerland, and many other Holland and many other countries. Wonderful session it was, and most of the attendees were my peers from the construction industry, all of them were either from Mumbai, Chennai, Bangalore, and down south, I would say. So many of people had come. We had a focused discussion. We had focused listening to the speakers. A lot of gathering that happened. Of course, Taj, known for his hospitality, served us wonderful food. We had the food, and of course, I took the flight, and I had a lot of memories about the flight journey also, which I will not share it here, but I just thought I'll mention it here. So focus, food, and flight is what I still remember about 2007, this conference in Mumbai at Taj Lands End. Let me go to the next event. I'm not sure how many of you have seen this movie, 96. It's a Tamil movie. I think I must have seen it at least 5 times. A wonderful movie made about how school kids grown up meet at a hotel after many, many, many years. It's a batch of 96 kids. A Tamil movie wonderfully uh, created, I would say. For me, this moment came about 85 when we graduated from engineering, and we said we will meet, and it never happened for a very long time. I would say 2017 is what it happened. Suddenly, a lot of my North Indian colleagues from Delhi and Haryana and Jaipur and all, they decided and came down to Bangalore without announcing. And they came to the college. They had spent a day in the college. Then they called up guys in the Bangalore, and I was one of them. And we said we are meeting today. I said, "Oh, wow, why?" And it so happened that then we came to know that they had come here, and we had a wonderful time in the evening. As I said, as I have written there, we had fun-filled evening. I think I came back home at around 2 o'clock. So they had an early morning flight at 5:30. So they spent a lot of time with us from 4:30 onwards. I came back home at 2 o'clock. Imagine the 4 years of time that we spent together in engineering was all looked at, and of course we met at one of the places in Brigade Road. So fun along with food was wonderful. And what did we talk about? When we all join like this, we talk much about faltu things, right? So it was a faltu fun food event is what I would say. However, something that I still remember and will continue to remember when we met on 2017. It was all about 1985. Now, given these two situations, uh, Mumbai and Bangalore, 2007 and 2017, if we look at the kind of people I met, that bigger dot was me, and the other dots is what other people in the gathering were. If you look at it, the field and the interests were very, very common among the meeting, that day's event, that how it panned out. If you look at the experience levels also, they were not very much varying. So we were mostly from the same field, because we were engineering classmates, because we were attending a conference of a particular topic or interest, and experience level wise also, we were on the same uh, level, I would say. Why I'm bringing these two things together is what I want to talk up in the next slide. Looking back, if I have to marry these two events together and ask myself as to were those two events that I attended waste of time? The first one was a focused discussion. We learned a lot of people from those who came from international scenario. And the second one was somebody whom we were meeting after so almost 30 years. And we spent very good time together. So answer to this question was no. Now, did I learn or gain something? Personally, yes. Personally, yes. Professionally, yes. One was a friend circle, one was a professional circle. From both these, I gained a lot. I learned something in one place, gained something from the other place. I learned a lot of professional management related and a lot of contract related things from that conference. And I learned a lot of things that my colleagues and others were doing elsewhere after so many years when we met. I learned what they were doing, how their family is, how have they've been spending all these years, and many things about that bunch of people who came from north to spend time with us that evening. There was a learning, there was a gain. The answer to this was yes. Now, was the right event that I attended? Looking at the first two answers to the first two questions, I would say that yes, it was. When it was not a waste of time, when I gained and learned something. So it was definitely a right event. Now, if it was the right event, always we always think as leaders, as people who are into management, people who are driving teams, we always have the next question that I'm going to show you. After an event or situation or a meeting happens, we always think, could I have done something a little differently? We always think that. Excuse me, I will have to take this call, you'll have to pardon me, please. Sorry about that interruption. It was a little personal and urgent. Sorry about that. So we always think, could we have done something a little differently? Had I done something differently in that event in Mumbai? I actually thought about it after I was when I was in the flight. Uh, could we have talked a little more something important or something crucial? Oh, I miss asking him this. These were a few thoughts, initial thoughts, when I was driving back at around 1:30 2 a.m. in the morning from that personal event. So we always think, can there be a difference in what we did earlier? Is there a learning that I can take it forward? So moving on, I'm bringing you three reflections again, beyond those two stories, my personal stories that I told you, because I always feel the journey we take in any event in our lives or in our fun event also is what we remember for a very long time. When we look back the journey, not the beginning and the end. The journey has to be very uneventful or sometimes fun. So, uh, events, again talking about the events, 2005 I attended a conference, an exhibition come conference in BIEC, and I chanced upon getting there. I had not planned getting there. As anybody does in an event like this, you talk to people, get cards, you exchange your cards and things like that. I had absolutely no purpose because I had not planned for it. When I went there, I looked at all the exhibition stalls, collected some brochures, also talked to few people, asked few questions, and some of them were some questions came towards me also, and things like that. And one question which I still remember that was asked to me in one of the stall was it was actually two successive questions that one person asked. He was standing alone, and he had nothing much to display in his exhibition stall, and there were not many people going there. So I don't know what took me there. I went there and smiled at that person and started looking at the posters. Then he came near me and he said, "Sir, what brings you here? Is there something that I can help you with?" So actually, I didn't know what to say because I had no purpose of going there. And it so happened that that question actually, I was taken aback by that question because I was not prepared for it. everybody had a purpose of going to the exhibition stall. Some go there for networking, some go there for collecting information, some goes for sharing ideas, gathering ideas, and many purposes people have. But I had gone there without any purpose, and I was stalled by this question. So I looked at him and said, "Friend, you will not be able to help me with my purpose." So he said, "No problem. Why don't you tell me what it is?" Just to brush him aside, I said, "I'm searching for a job." He went a step back actually, and he was also not ready for that answer. And it so happened that he shared me his card. To my surprise, he was a country head of a software company. He gave me his card and he said, "After this exhibition, 2 days later, please come and meet me. Unannounced, you can come. I will have a talk with you for 15 minutes." I think the next week I went there. He actually welcomed into his office, and he had 1.5 hours of discussion with me. I will not call it as an interview because it didn't look like that. And after that 1.5 hours, nearly 1.5 hours, he offered me a job. That was my first job in a software company as a construction engineer. It was in 2005. I went there without a purpose, and I had a stare when he was asking me. He asked me that question for which I was not prepared for it. But after that 1.5 hours of discussion with him, I said, "Hooray!" I never thought that this could be a purpose. I was just joking, and it was a dream come true for me that I've been working for construction companies. Now I'm working for a software company. Of course, today it's a very large software giant. I had worked for them. This is about the first event. Let me take you through the second event. Again, 2017, I went to a product launch, and I had come out of another large software company. I had planned to start on my own. I didn't know what to start. I was in multiple ideas. I didn't know which one would have been clicking. So I was not sure what I'm starting, but I knew I'm going to start something. So I just to wail away this time, I had got this invitation for a product launch, and I went there. And as usual, exchanging cards, exchanging ideas, exchanging normally what happens in an event. Had a good food, maybe a lot of people come there to have extra food also, and evening, if it is a cocktail and dinner and a networking event, we have extra pigs also. So there was one question that was always there in my mind, at the back of my mind when I was attending this launch. What is it that I'm going to start? I'm still confused. uh, in the networking, it so happened that I happened to bump into a gentleman who said, "Look here, I'm trying to launch a company, and I'm not sure what I should do. I have about 30 plus years of experience, and I know I can do better in many things. I'm little confused. You look to be an elderly gentleman. Will you be able to help me?" I said, "What?" Those words for 15, 20 seconds, what he spoke to me kept on echoing with me, because that is what was running in my internals also. I said, here there is another person who is as confused as me. I said, he's the one where we can talk together, and we can open up more, and we can help each other, and probably guide each other, direct each other, and probably we never know, we can have a synergy, and we can start something together. Then I said, "Sir, I'm also in the same state. Why don't we exchange our ideas? Why don't we exchange our situations? Why don't we exchange the turmoil that we are having in our mind? And probably we'll come across something that we can help each other." So it so happened that we spent almost 3 months together after this product launch where we met. And that 15 seconds changed our perception about what we wanted to do. It gave us a lot of clarity. It was like mutual coaching. I coached him, he coached me. For 3 months, every week, religiously thrice a week we used to meet at a particular designated place, designated time, and we were giving time to each other. And lo, here he is. Now he is applying for his first VC. uh, of course, I've not grown so big. However, I could say from 2017 what I was till now, whatever I am, had that not been that person speaking to me for 15 minutes, who put his step forward, said that I have a problem, I need a help, we wouldn't have been where we are today. Bingo, we are, we did something. Third event, sorry, I will quickly go get into it. This gentleman changed my life in 2008, 9, 10, I would say. Dr. Gurraj Karjaki. If you see at the background of this photograph, construction management excellence is what I started as a journey for teaching a lot of college students uh, about being employable. You know, people coming out of college are not employable because they don't have the skills that we need in the industry. You all know it better. So in the industry, in this domain of construction, there were not much things happening, and since I had put in a lot of experience, I said somebody has to start somewhere. And we started this, and I had called this gentleman to inaugurate one of our conference, the first conference in 2008. And it so happened, the way this gentleman speaks, the way it comes from his heart, the experiences that he has had as a teacher and teaching creatively, I realized from that speech that he gave live. Of course, I had heard him on YouTube and in other events, but in my event, when he talked about teaching, construction, upskilling, and many other things related to what I was trying to do in my school, I realized that he is my go-to man. uh, with his personality and the way I realized that he can do change things in me. I went to him and I said, sir, I have so many years of experience, but zero experience in teaching. How can you be of help to me? I put my foot. I remember I told you that gentleman, 15 seconds, he put his foot forward and we helped each other. Here I said, I will put my foot forward. I went to his office and said this to him. He said, I don't know about anything about construction, but I know a lot of things about teaching, and my team can help you as to how you teach differently, that the way colleges don't teach. And people remember it, people apply it, and people develop it further. So I went to him for about 7 months, and he taught me how to teach. Creatively or not, have I learned it or not, I don't know. But how to teach is what he taught me in 2008. So if you look at uh, the question of the last thing that I had, last slide I had asked, what we could have done differently in all these three events that I spoke. One place I said I want a job. Second place, I said he is a man who can be, I can network more and gather more and probably help each other. And then the third one, I said I will put my foot forward, go and ask shamelessly as to I don't know how to teach. uh, when I thought about these three things for these three events, I realized that if I make this difference and do, then probably I'll be uh, in the future I could be a little different. So this question was answered for me, and I continue to do in a lot of events that I go, conferences, events, networking online also, and things like that. So now, uh, what has it helped me with? It helped me build a purpose for myself. When I go somewhere, I go with a purpose. When I go to meet somebody, uh, one person, two, five, or a large gathering, I have a purpose of going there. It has also attending these events and thinking a little differently and doing things a little differently has built confidence in me. And the third thing, what I would say is, we when we exchange a lot of things with people, uh, ideas and problems. I would say in networking events, people don't talk about problems. Uh, but I feel when I talk about some problem, the solutions come from there, and it has happened many times for me, many times for me. So what is the difference between the first one and the second one I showed? In networking events of not so like-minded people, uh, uh, with people with varied field and interests and varied experiences, it is easier to gather what I talked about. One is you gather a lot of purposes for yourself. You gather a lot of confidence about what you are doing, the way you are behaving, and many other things that you are trying to do in the future. And the third thing is, for your problems, you will get solution from somebody who is not connected to the problem, because he will look at it, or she will look at it from a perspective of an outsider, from a third eye perspective, what generally people talk about. So diverse groups, networking with diverse groups brings in a lot of advantages. So when we talk about networking and the multiplier effect, what happens is, those three things that I am talking about, there are many other advantages, but these three things has been my takeaway from networking very strongly. So that has multiplied many folds. So when you start networking, when we start networking, the communication channel that gets opened is, of course, many of you know, it is n into n minus 1 by 2. That many channels gets opened with people who are not so experienced as you are, with a varied experience levels and varied coming from varied fields. What happens is, uh, the should I say, the purpose for which we try to network gets multiplied manifold. So here is my take on what we generally should be doing in networking. Uh, we should be easy to approach. That anybody comes to us and talks, we should be able to reciprocate. We have a purpose or a goal with which we are talking to somebody. If not just going the event, when we are talking to somebody in a networking event, we should also have a purpose as to what is it that I am going to do with this person. Listen to him, understand him, gather in what are his interests. Should I, when I talk, should I talk to him about the problems I have, or the things that are good with me I talk? So you should have a goal, develop a goal quickly on your feet as to what you would do with this person you're interacting with, and going forward, what are you going to do with it, him or her. And sometimes it is good to initiate first steps also. It's better to be bold, not so shy away. And uh, sometimes, or most of the times in my cases, when I've taken the first step, it has led me to the destination I wanted to reach. Next one is, have a balance in your interaction. It is not that you always keep talking. You talk a bit, allow that person to talk, then you talk and he shares, and then based on what he shares, you also share. And have that balance of sharing of time when you are networking with people during the event and after the event also. Sharing negativity is very easy. Sharing about something that you don't like, dislike, hate, your mental situation and negativity in your mind and things like this, very, it comes very easily. But what happens is, when somebody listens to it, being your first timer in a networking event, people take a step back. So your purpose of going to a networking event or talking to people and other things get defeated if you start sharing negativity with them. I'm not talking about sharing problems as a negativity, but I'm talking about anything about mental situation. If you are upset, had a very bad traffic when you came to the event and things like that, try to have your conversation very short, and try to gather as much as information as possible crisply, so that you keep your better conversations for meeting that person one on one. When you meet him, you have a longer conversation. Why I'm saying have a shorter conversation in the events is that it will help you uh, gather more touch points in that limited space and time that is given to you in a networking event. The last I would say is give first and then receive it. I'm 100% sure from my experience, I've seen when you give information, ideas, and solutions, you'll get manifolds of it later. It is truth of it's a true thing. It's natural. It is in the nature that you give one, you get 10. That's how things work. So we should also enjoy what we give and we receive. So uh, to sum it up all, I would say the multiplier effects in a networking event will help you reach more, gather more opportunities, communicate, enhance your communication, and build relationships which are existing, and build new relationships as well. And it will help you gather more ideas, firm up your ideas if they are right or not, get it validated, and you will also have new learning when you are talking about your ideas and getting it validated. Give and receive, I have already spoken. You share your solution, your ideas about anybody's problem, and you also get solutions many times with from others. And of course, networking brings in a lot of referrals, feedbacks, and recommendations, which are always useful in our professional and personal lives. So I leave this forum talk with this. If you don't network, it's like you're not working at all, because we are not doing business, or we are not working professionally alone. We are in an ecosystem. And next one is your network is your net worth. I'm sure you've heard about these two things. With that, I uh, thank everybody for listening to me for last few minutes. Any questions or any thoughts that you may have, or anything that you want to share with me, happy to learn. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Nagesh. That was a wonderful session. I mean, as we have seen earlier also. So thanks for guiding us as to how networking will benefit and how can we multiply. So I'll probably open it to the members if they have any questions, feedback. Uh, sir.
Hi.
Yes, Tarun, please go ahead.
Yeah,
Let me see if I can help you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It was very interesting the way you have conveyed everything using stories and all, and also talking about the purpose. So I agree that it is interesting and also important to go with the purpose. I'm very curious uh, that what is your purpose of making this particular presentation. One is obviously, I think, to make us educate. But apart from that, is there any other purpose which you have in mind? Because you talked about purpose, and I'm very curious, how do you think about the purpose? So,
Okay. So two things I would like to answer your question in two prongs. One is, so my purpose keeps changing with the people I interact with. If I meet somebody from my own domain, two different people, and I interact with them separately, my purpose with A and B would be different. I define my purpose because I know what I would gain from each of those interactions, because I would have gained as to what experience level, or what knowledge level, what learning level, and what is it that they can give me, and what is it that I can give them, is what I gauge myself. So my purpose with two different people is different, and I define it. Secondly, I would say my purpose of making this presentation, of course, as you said, was to share whatever I have gained, and also to tell everybody here, you all come from a background of somewhere connected to education and many other things. And as I told you, that vertical interaction, you all come from varied experiences. And gaining ideas or exchanging ideas is what my purpose is. Learning from your experiences is my purpose. That's how I have learned it. I have learned a lot of things from not my managers, but those people who are in different levels in the hierarchy. I've learned from an office boy, I've learned from a carpenter in my site. I've also learned many, many things from great leaders in my domain. So learning can happen across the levels. So if I can pick up few things from each of you from the interaction that I would have later on, I think my purpose is done with. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, anyone else?
Yeah, I would like to ask Mr. Nagesh.
Yes, Mr. Kaushik.
Yeah, see, what I feel is, people, even during a gathering or a meeting, a lot of people have this issue about approaching another person. They are shy, so they feel that how do I approach? So can you throw some light on that?
Yes, sir. I was shy myself, actually. When I went to that Mumbai conference, I was shy myself. Today, that shyness is gone. When I go to an event, I talk to everybody. I have developed that kind of questionnaire here as to what is it that I start with. One. Secondly, we have a lot of us have heard about the icebreaker questions, right? So we have developed those questions for ourselves. I'm sure a lot of you have. Now if you find somebody else being shy and he is not opening up, then probably you will have to go one notch lower and go up to a a little personal level, because personal is so personal that it is not personal for people. I have seen that when you go to a personal level, a lot of people open up. Even in a professional setup, when you try to build a rapport within your team, what happens is you don't start immediately with professional levels unless and until you are connected to that person at a personal level, not too much, and emotional level. You will not be able to have that connect on a professional level. So one small notch lower at a personal level, uh, out of the hat, if I have to think and say, who all are there in your family? Leave it at that. He may answer, he may not answer. But I'm 100% sure that people open up a little more when we talk about that. So it is, when I said put your first foot forward, is exactly what I'm trying here again, that we will have to ask few more questions so that that person opens up. It's up to us that how much we can get into that person's helping that person open up. And nobody is born introvert, sir. It is the circumstances which make people introvert. And it is definitely those few more other circumstances which make them very extrovert. I've seen people who are introvert only in certain areas, but when it comes to other areas, they are very talkative, they're very open, they are very forthright in explaining or expressing their ideas and what comes into mind. It is only one place, one area, one environment. We'll have to probably change that environment for them by going one notch a little lower. Did I help you with that, Mr. Kaushik?
Yes, yes, certainly.
Yeah, Mr. Nagesh, Parag here.
Morning to you, Mr. Prag.
Yeah, morning. So I just wanted to understand your experience. It's like I used to attend many conferences and events, and so I come and I was figuring out how to get the maximum benefit out of that. And there are two approaches. One approach was like, okay, you meet the maximum people there, exchange the cards, and then connect with the people later on and something like that. The another approach was like, okay, you meet the few people, but have an intense discussion with them. Now, according to you, since you are having a vast experience in this thing, what do you feel will be the better strategy? Now, it's in-person events are not happening, but once it's open up, also whether it's a gathering of 50 people or whether it's gathering of 200 or 500 people? What do you feel would be the best strategy? We just work for you.
Both has worked for me. I can give you that. Both things have worked for me. Sir, I'll tell you, when I talk to those people who have, let's say, a speaker, whom I thought that I will approach him and this is my purpose with him. Generally, if you have seen the speakers, they come, deliver, stay there for a tea or a coffee or have lunch and just push off. They are not there for the entire event, many of them. So my strategy would depend upon my purpose, and there will be, like me, a lot of people who will try to go and approach that speaker. So I generally keep my interaction with the speaker very short, with a note saying that, sir, I now have your card, I'll come back to you, or I'll send you a mail, or I'll call you up, something like that. Even otherwise, there are a lot of people whom we meet in the events. I looking at what is my purpose, I may keep my conversation short, gather the card, and just do nothing about it, or that card may be of help some other day, or I will come back and immediately get in touch with that person. However, my strategy would be to have short conversation with many people, so that I come back and touch base with that person immediately, so that that person doesn't forget me. He should relate to what I'm writing, or what I'm who is that person. They'll be able to put a face to that name when I send a mail or give a call. So I don't take much time in responding to them if I have to touch base based on my purpose. So more people, smaller interaction, and there has been couple of times when I have gone deep into a conversation with somebody on a particular topic, especially when it is a HR related conference, because HR is something that we feel that we all know everything about HR. So when it is related to people, when conferences are related to people, I try to talk or converse a little deeper, or hear a little deeper about people's perspective and views in such conferences. When it is technical, I try to keep my interactions to the minimum and have the interaction to maximum later on. So I have both these strategies that has been working for me.
Okay, thank you for your inputs.
Uh, Anyone else? Mahesh? McEnroe, do you have anything to say? Any feedback? Okay, great. Anyone else?
I have one more question. If anyone... Yeah, sure, sir.
Yes, Tarun.
Like many times, so like when we make decisions, or even when we are conversing, right? Like sometimes we are thinking logically, and sometimes I will not say thinking, but like it comes out of heart, right? So, what do you suggest? Like, because I don't know which one is right, wrong, or it depends on the situations. I just want to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I would want to say or share here. Sometimes in our conversation, we get into a conflict mode, especially in during the networking events. He says something, we don't agree, or we say something, he or she doesn't agree. Uh, so whether it comes from heart or mind, immaterial of that, I think that's not the place where we have to get into a conflict mode to prove that we are right or he's wrong. It's only an event where we are trying to build a new relationship. It's a place where we are trying to look, uh, in a very crude term, what is in it for me when I'm trying to converse. I have to pick up that very quickly. So getting into a conflict mode with that person, or getting into a situation which is not so very conducive to you, it is digressing from your purpose, and you'll have to bring it back to your purpose. Bring the conversation back to your purpose. If you think that is not helping, there is somebody else who is interrupting. In networking events, it's never one on one. There is somebody standing here, somebody there, somebody comes in, so your conversation may not be continuous. So it may drift also. So we will have to develop that, bringing it back to the conversation that you're trying to explore is what I would say. You're exploring what is in it for me in this relationship that I'm trying to build. If I have to meet him again outside the conference, at his office, or in a let's say a Starbucks or a cafe coffee day, what is it that I can broach with him? That is the purpose. That's a quick purpose. What is in it for me? So irrespective of where it comes from, here or here, we will have to bring it back to our purpose, that conversation, and leave it with a small note saying that you get back to me or I get back to you, and also mention how you are going to get back: mail, phone, or in person. I'm not sure if I answered you,
No, I think that
or
is.
if that was the question.
Mr. Nagesh, I just wanted to check with you. You are all this while standing and delivering the presentation.
Haha. Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, it's very rare that on an online forum, somebody is standing and delivering the presentation. That also shows that, you know, you've been attending a lot of these forums where you present, and that energy keeps you. So nice to hear you from, sir. Thank you so much for taking us through
Thank you
this
for
presentation.
observing that. I want to say something here. The way you walk in your house using slippers is different from the way you walk in your office with your shoes on, right? So I believe the way you sit and present is different from the way you stand and present. I
Totally
strongly
agree.
believe in that.
Agreed, totally. Yes. And actually, I've been
I have,
thinking that you're sitting in a position, but you know, you were moving, and then I was thinking, wow. I mean, I see the thing about, even I present in some of the forums, and I love to stand. When you stand, the energy, the aura, when you connect with people, it's so very different, and you cannot just curtail that when you're sitting and presenting. So I could see that happening to you. So yeah, thank you.
I'll take 15 seconds. When I used to teach in engineering colleges as a guest lecturer, I have taught for 8 hours also. The whole day I have taken the session except for the lunch break. I've been standing throughout the 6 and 8 hours because if you see, there is a different connect between the presenter and or there, I would say, a teacher and the students, right? So that connect will have to be at that level always. So once you sit and start talking to them, that connect is broken. So I feel that different setup in different different styles in different setup always helps, is what I believe.
Okay,
hi,
great, sir.
Nagaraj sir. This is the last question I wanted to ask. See, basically, I attend the sessions like training to the police or to the academies or the initial stage, where we have very little scope to meet them and to interact with them. Though I may maximum I can exchange my card, because they doesn't have the cards also. We don't know which, because they will be based on the cadre level. They take the training sessions. So it is very difficult for us to remember all the faces also, or to collect the numbers also. Then what is the way out? Like in many, I can maximum remember 10 people or the 10 police stations these people are working. I remember based on the station level. So what, how it is like? What are the? Is there any other clues that we can use to connect them in the after that session?
Okay. It reminds me of a couple of sessions I did for government employees. I trained the people on construction management, PWD engineers, KPWD, CPWD, ISRO, and many others when I was doing. Same was the situation there as well. They either they had instruction not to share their cards or they didn't have cards. It also happened that since they were from the same department, even during lunch and coffee they were together. So if I get into that circle of their talk, they would stop conversing what they were, because that was very confidential to their organization. It has happened to me as well. But uh, it was a little difficult in the initial stages for me, but later on what happened was I started announcing that this is where I am reachable any time in your career that you think that you need my help in answering one of your questions. And of course, I also have sometimes walked into even BMRCL. I have walked into their office
Okay.
saying that, hello sir, I was just passing by, thought of meeting you, Mr. So and so. If you have time, I'll come to your cabin. So left a message with the reception, and I was welcomed. I had a small conversation, talked to them, and there was a captain there who had a small conversation, and now he is in touch with me for a lot of things. When I was you said at the station level, you know them. So if you're passing by that station, sir, you can probably just say hello. If they are busy, fine. If they're not busy, also you can just say hello and move. Someday that networking would help. If it will help, it has helped me. I've got I also consult. So these interaction with CPWD, ISRO, and PMRCL has helped me do some small work for them. Not pro bono, but as a consultant, I have worked for them. It may
Thank you.
not give you fruits
Yes.
immediately, sir. It will not give
Correct.
you fruits immediately.
Correct.
Over a longer period, let's put the first foot forward, keep talking to them. Something will come out of it, I'm sure.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Okay, done. Nice, sir. Mr. Nagesh, thanks for your time and thanks for all the knowledge
Thank
which
you.
you shared it to us. And I guess we have come to the end of the session here. Thanks, sir. We will look forward to gain more knowledge in different aspects from you. Okay. Thanks, everyone, for joining.